Yes, it's that time again, and when I left you off, UFR had just beaten OM for their second win in the semi-finals of the King of the Sea 3 Cup. Now, we're going to move on to Game 4. OM actually won Game 3, so it is now 2-1 to UFR. This that I'm going to show now is Game 4. Once again, thank you to the two teams for giving me the replays, and let's get straight into the team lists. For die Deutschen, we have no great surprises. We have a Shikaku at the top, we have two North Carolinas, we have one Amagi, a Chapayev for their radar, two Kutsovs and two Bensons, so all fairly standards. And pour la France, we have the Shikaku at the top again. They have a bit of a mix of battleships. They've got the North Carolina, the Alabama, Premhorse Unite. They have the Bismarck. They also have a Chapayev for radar, two Kutsovs and two Bensons. So it's all looking pretty similar at the bottom of the table there. Same cruisers, same destroyers. Just a little bit of difference in the battleships and, of course, same carriers. Without further ado, let's get straight into Game 4. Well, what do you know? We are on board with I Am Radical Larry from Odin Mortis. And I Am Radical Larry starts every game with Hi, I'm Radical Larry, which you can see in the chat there. However, he's changed it specifically for the occasion to Salut, je suis Larry. Oh, you can't make this up. If you ever see him in a battle, definitely respond back, because I guarantee he will say it every single time. And I don't know about you guys, but I love it. I think it's funny as hell. So, back into the game. OM are going to spread around, much like in the previous game. You can see that they're splitting into two definitive formations. One of the formations is going to the west, towards the A cap, and the other seems to be headed with Larry over here, east towards, I guess, the C cap. Now, one of their destroyers is already pushing forward, and he looks like he is actually going to go for the cap. The others, at the moment, are having a bit of a muddle in the middle, and this is, you know, sort of one of the I say drawbacks. I mean, the spawning system works fine for randoms. In competitive, there's nothing worse than making a plan based around, we want these ships to go here, those ships to go there. You know, Larry, I want you and your battleship going to C, and so on. But then he spawns across the other side of the friggin' map. So what's happening in the middle there, the big cluster of, how many are there, about 5 ships, are literally just passing each other to try and get to where they've been told to go by their commander. So it's starting to break up now, and you can see the predominant moves they're making seem to be for A and C, and they're leaving B well alone. In the meantime, the streamers have all sunk themselves in their aircraft carriers, and UFR are doing much the same from what I can see. Oh, a Citadel hit already. I Am Radical Larry is bloody good at getting big hits in his battleship. He's tantamount to M4 in TTT. If you see him and you're broadside to him, just kiss your ass goodbye, because it's already over. Where was I? UFR, yep, are doing the same, A and C. On this map, I think it's because B is a bit open, and you don't want to get caught out in the open in these competitive games because it is murderous. Switching to Evil Skywalker in his Kutsov, he is on the A side of the game. So we're shooting across the other side, where you can see OM here are pretty much set secure with A. UFR have actually managed to secure C, so it's all pretty evens on the positioning game, so to speak. The carrier war is well away, and you can see there Evil Skywalker helping his carrier out shoot down an unfortunate set of planes. Once you get within sort of range of the Kutsov, it's not looking good for you. But the air war is well and truly away. Again, they're trying to spot, they're trying to scout, they're trying to, I don't know, sort of psych each other out, the two carriers, try and kill as many of one another's planes as possible. Evil Skywalker here taking a position on the flank to batter off the enemy Kutsov there. You can see Black Torp doing a runner. It would appear that the OM team have a much higher focus of ships here. So OM, I would say, have A cap fairly well held down. It is the complete opposite with the C cap. UFR seem to have sent a fairly large proportion of their fleet to the C cap, and they seem to have that well and truly secure from what I can see. So the ships attacking the A cap have been successfully chased off. You can see on the mini-map that the Benson has turned around. The KotS3 is certainly on the run. No sign of the North Carolina from UFR. However, UFR have a pretty strong position in C. So on the cap game, it's all evens. And it's all about who gets B first. Until then, everyone's going to be probing to see what they can achieve with some long-range fire and so on. Now, the North Carolina has been spotted there, just to the northwest of the B cap, and from this position, Evil Skywalker can absolutely hammer that guy, and he's going to want to set him on fire. Now, we sort of normally would probably be quite safe here. This is a great position for a KotS3 to be in. You can see that none of the ships can actually directly see him. However, because of the epic spotting game that the carriers have in competitive, he's still detected anyway. And he actually has incoming from the battleship there. So he's popped his smoke to get as many rounds away as he can while hidden. So everyone knows that in all combat situations, if you can fire on the enemy and they can't fire at you, you have a huge advantage, and that's where Skywalker is at the moment. He knows he's not going to get any torpedoes anytime soon, because there's nothing that can torpedo him in the position he's in. He knows that KotS3, well, he knows exactly where he is, and he's pretty safe in the knowledge that he can just hammer that battleship as long as he's spotted. So he sets another fire on him there. He already had a fire, so I believe he probably will have repaired it now. You can't see the damage counter ticking up, so I can only assume that that battleship has used his damage repair consumable. So Skywalker is going to want to spot him again to set him on fire. Unfortunately, the enemy destroyer popped smoke as well, but seeing as the North Carolina's lit back up, I presume that the radar ship is doing its thing. The OM's Chapayev here, and you can see how quickly damage can rack up on someone. That battleship would have repaired the two fires, so he's probably flooding. Now we're going to switch sides. We're on board with UFR, so we're up north of the map now, or on the northern side. And you can see Le Burgundy here in his destroyer. He's detected one of the enemy destroyers, and the enemy destroyer is getting pretty hammered there. He's getting away with it though, to be fair to him. He hasn't fired his gun, so he goes undetected. Now, unfortunately, one of the KotS3s dies for OM, and that North Carolina that got caught out in the open there also dies in fairly quick succession. So it's still even on the kills as well. They managed to kill each other at pretty much exactly the same time, which is useful. And you can see the scores are pretty even. I mean, UFR are only, what's that, 6 points ahead? Not even that? Yeah, 6 points ahead. Where are we? Right, the carrier game. So, Le Burgundy has had to deploy his defensive fire cooldown, or his defensive fire ability, in order to sort of stave off some of those planes, and he actually shoots a couple of them down, which is always useful. He's managing to keep them well off him, which is very good in a destroyer. That's why most teams do actually use the Benson. The Benson has good enough torpedoes, it's got the best smoke in the game, or the best smoke at tier 8, it lasts forever, so it's really useful for hiding your ships. And of course it has defensive fire, so if you do get caught out alone against a carrier, at least you can pop that, and it's not about shooting them down, it's about spreading out the torpedo wave or the bombers. It's trying to just get them not to damage you, so you're sort of self-sufficient in the destroyer. That was a big hit there. I think that was probably a battleship penetration. So going back to I Am Radical Larry, we're back in the south with OM, and he gets a beautiful broadside on this Bismarck that comes charging around the corner for just over 25,000 damage. Like I say, Larry, you can see his damage numbers in the corner there, is bloody good shot, and for damage numbers in a game like this, a competitive game of 81,000 this early on in the game, he's been doing work. Now, Radical Larry is sort of in the open here, and he's got 3 fires and the torpedoes, but he isn't panicking. I mean, if you watch some of my replays, I would have already repaired that by now, and then I'd probably be flooding. Larry's all over this, and he knows what's going on and when, so he repairs the whole lot. He fires at the Alabama, knocks out one of its gun turrets, and does a hell of a lot of damage as well. We flip back to the UFR team, and I'm going to try and pronounce this, I'm going to apologise if it's awful. I believe it's Arumata in his Bismarck. So he's just taken a hefty salvo as he came around the corner, but now he's hidden. He's got secondaries blazing away, as you can see, 89 secondary hits there and rising, and he's got his guns blazing away as well. For whatever reason, I believe it's probably because they sighted the destroyer, he's moving forward and out of the smoke, maybe even to save or to help the Alabama, because he's sort of stuck behind the Alabama, he doesn't want to fire at him, so he's pushing past him here, and he's going to try and fire at Radical Larry, who is, again, he's sort of stuck out in the open here, and he damages him an immense amount and actually manages to sink him, almost with his secondaries, but not quite, I think it was with fire. So again, it's pretty even on the scores, but UFR here are actually now losing. They're 1 ship behind, and the enemy are also starting to cap B. Chapayev appears there, broadside in front of Aramata. I hope I pronounced that right, I'm so sorry. And but we shoot straight back to Le Burgundy, because look at the view of this. That poor destroyer caught out in the open, and he gets eviscerated by torpedoes. The other torpedoes are well on the way there as well. However, the enemy carrier has something to say about this. The OM carrier drops on him, gets a hit, and unfortunately that is game over for the young Benson. Flipping back again to OM, it's getting a bit hectic here. Back in the south, OM now have a 2-kill lead, and the B cap is free again, so OM are up pretty strongly now. They're up by almost 200 points. You can see all the carriers' planes there in the centre trying to spot out things. And this is a sort of quieter period in the game. I think UFR are trying to establish what's going on and what they can do about the being behind here, the situation. A lot of the OM ships, or certainly this one, is on quite high health, and a lot of the UFR ones are starting to run out of it, and you can see there the destroyer trying to get away, getting shot at. Even the Shikaku has actually been spotted. I can only assume that he's been deplaned. I'm not going to guarantee that. He's got a bomber squadron there, but the way he's moving in, pretty close to the enemy, and the way that I can't see many of his planes. I can see a lot of green planes on the map, but no red ones. I can only assume that he has been deplaned and he's doing everything he can to try and take the fire away from the KotS3 that is running northwest. Unfortunately for Paul this sheep, that means that he's pretty much done for, and this is the last action he's going to manage in the game. But hats off to him for at least doing something, because it's better than, in randoms, your carrier just running to the corner and doing sod all. And this sheep dies. OM now have secured the A and B cap. Look at how healthy their ships are. They're up on kills, and it's not, you can't just assume that it's game over, but it's a pretty strong sort of lead they've got now. 300 points ahead, and I mean the Chapayevs are fairly glass cannons. They're quite weak, they haven't got much armour, they're famous for getting deleted in these things. The KotS3 making a run for the border there is on very little health, and the last destroyer, there's not a great deal he can do with 3,700 health. So Decline here has actually done a really good game as a Chapayev. I believe earlier on he managed to radar one of the enemy. The KotS3 dies there, and hey, look how much health he's on. This is great for a Chapayev, because Chapayev is one of the boats that, particularly in competitive late game, it is a strong contender with that radar. It is terrifying, and it's also got anti-air, or I believe you can fit sonar to it instead. So it's a good utility vessel. It's just a shame its turning circle is obviously horrendous. Its armour is pretty bad. Its profile's high as well, so it's easy to hit in battleships. It's one of my favourite targets, I know that. So He's done well to survive this long with this much health, and he's kept himself, I would have said, in reserve in order to smash the enemy, which they have. He's now radared by their Chapayev. He's not going to pop it back because they can already see him, and it is just the enemy Chapayev and the Benson left. In fact, he could actually probably do with popping radar soon to get the Benson, but then again, his team don't have guns on, so you want to be able to see the enemy. There's no point in popping radar if you can't see the damn thing. And this is a pretty convincing lead now. They have 6 ships left, the enemy only have 2, they know where both of them are. Scratch that, the enemy only have 1, and he's only got, what's that, about a third of his health left. You can see the OM Benson there just waiting in the wings to get some torpedoes away, and he does. Now the Chapayev, as I said before, has a terrible turning circle, so you can bet your bollocks to a barn dance that he's probably going to hit him. And you can see the 3 torpedoes heading in there, they look pretty damn good, and I believe that that is him hit. Oh no, he dodges. What is Hadders talking about? I thought he got him with the torpedoes. That's him not getting away though, and he has popped radar now so that he can keep him spotted. And that this time really is game over. Chapayev dies to fire there. And there we have it. OM beating UFR in the 4th game there, bringing the score in this semi-final to 2-all. And unfortunately I don't have the 5th game. I could have got it, but it was one of those games. I tried to get the most entertaining ones for you guys. OM actually won. So OM came back from 2-0 down to win 3-2. So they went through to the final, and UFR got knocked down to the sort of losers bracket of the final with us in TTT, which will be the games to look forward to next. What I think happened there is OM took up very good positions. The south spawn's a pretty good spawn on that map. They took up good positions, they used their Chapayev to great effect, radaring that battleship out straight away, and when they did radar him out they had good positions to hammer him quickly. If you can get a battleship out of the game as soon as possible, that is a huge health pool that can't suck up fire for the rest of the game. That is that health pool gone, because battleships are there to get shot at. It's weird, I'm unfortunately a battleship player myself. You are there to get shot at. Of course you're going to shoot things and do lots of damage. You can see the flip side of that. I am Radical Larry. He did a lot of damage, but again you saw he was just a damage pinata for the enemy, and you are there to try and suck up damage so the cruisers and destroyers don't have to. Unfortunately UFR lost one of their battleships very early on, and I think that hit them hard later in the game. Thank you once again to all the players, it was a great game to watch. Thank you to OM and UFR for giving me your replays. Thanks to the organisers for getting us this far. So where we stand in the tables is Omni beat TTT to go to the final in the first semis. This was the second semis where OM beat UFR, so TTT and UFR in the bottom bracket of the finals. Omni versus OM in the top bracket, and I will have games from TTT versus UFR next. Thank you all for watching, I hope you enjoyed. I've been Hadders. If you have any questions, be fair to spam the comments, and I will see you all soon.